Hello and welcome to the annual update webinar for CDN's Teaching in Colleges Today unit. I'm Sandra Jane Greer, the CDN course tutor for the Teaching in Colleges Today unit, and I'm also the developer of our online support materials. Today I will be providing you with a brief overview of what the unit is about, and also discussing some of the different ways it can be used by colleges and your staff as part of ongoing CPD. After this, for those of you who are less familiar with the TiCT unit, or for those who are interested in using this within your college in the future for the first time, I will be highlighting some of the recent updates and additions that we have made recently to the online learning content. For those of you who are currently delivering the TiCT unit in your college, today I will also be providing you with a recap of some of the key points and findings that came out of last year's external verification activities. CDN's Teaching in Colleges Today unit provides a valuable entry-level initial teaching qualification for newly appointed lecturers who have come into the sector and have prior knowledge and employment expertise, but little or limited understanding of the core functions of learning, teaching and assessment. This SCQF credit-rated unit is unique in its approach as it is delivered in partnership with colleges, and this provides you with the flexibility and makes it possible to contextualise the learning for your staff to meet your individual needs. In terms of the process, this partnership involves colleges identifying suitable assessors and mentors who will assess the candidate's work, and they will also carry out a teaching observation, providing each TiCT candidate with feedback on that process. CDN produce a variety of online learning materials which candidates and college assessors can use and refer to help develop knowledge of some of the vital skills and other things relating to the lecturer's role. CDN also undertake the coordination of external verification of candidate assessment evidence, awarding completion certificates for any candidates who have successfully achieved the unit and passed all 3 individual assessments. So why the Teaching Colleges Today unit? Well, the unit focuses on the development of core competences needed by college lecturers, the ability to identify student and group needs, and to plan and deliver a lesson which addresses and responds to these needs, and then to use feedback from the observed lesson to reflect on the effectiveness of your approach. As a Level 7 qualification, it replicates and aligns very closely with the PDA awards that SQA offer, and also with later TQFE studies. So an ideal initial entry-level qualification for new staff. In November 2018, those of you who are already familiar with our online learning platform may have noticed that we moved our TiCT unit, and there was a period of significant review and updating of content. This move to the new authoring platform changed the look and the feel of the TiCT materials and the online learning that was available for colleges and their candidates to use. During the summer of 2019, we additionally carried out another general review of the online content. And one of the new features that has been introduced this summer in response to sector changes and also the ongoing educational developments is a light touch mapping of the Teaching Colleges Today online learning materials to specific professional standards competences, reflecting the new professional standards for college lecturers. During the summer, we also made a variety of updates in terms of project information, And there have also been a few changes to the titling of sections within the Learn Online content to improve the clarity and make it easier for centres and college staff to use. One example of this is the renaming of the candidate upload area, which is now called the external verification upload area. And this is the area where your single centre point of contact will upload all of the completed assessment evidence prior to CDN carrying out that external verification process. As part of our ongoing quality improvement processes, we carried out a survey with existing TiCT users during the summer this year, asking college-based assessors and mentors to provide us with feedback about the delivery of the Teaching Colleges Today unit within their college, and also seeking some feedback on our existing online learning materials. Thank you to those who provided us with feedback, and we will feed these points into our ongoing quality review processes over the coming months. Based on the feedback to date, our intention is to investigate ways to capture feedback from candidates directly who are working with and using our Learn Online materials. And this is likely to happen over the next sort of 4 to 6 months. We are also hoping to continue to look for new ways to increase the interactivity and engagement with the materials, helping increase the levels of staff engagement with the learning content. If you have any additional feedback on how we can further improve either the management of the external verification process or indeed the online learning content, please pass on any ideas or suggestions using the contact details on the last slide of this presentation. One final new addition to our Learn Online materials is a frequently asked question, a resource, and this can be found within the resources section on the TiCT homepage. It appears as the last resource on the list. And we introduced this basically in response to the fact that we were seeing an increase in new centres using Teaching Colleges Today for the first time. But also we recognise that quite often in colleges you will have new members of staff undertaking the roles of assessors or mentors who are not familiar with the process. So this is designed to provide some information from a candidate's perspective, responding to typical questions that we have had over the last year or so from individual candidates, but also in response to some of the more commonly asked assessor and mentor queries, particularly those have been raised from new staff using materials for the first time. You will see in the slide here that we are intending to keep this as a live document, and so the content and the questions and the answers will be updated on a regular basis. If you wish a quicker response, of course, you can always contact us directly. Okay, we're now going to move on to the second part of today's presentation. And this is a re-record of the live webinar which was run just before the October holiday break, where we experienced some technical difficulties with the volume. The external verification process for Teaching Colleges Today takes place twice a year. And throughout this process, we capture a variety of information which highlights some of the areas where colleges and centres and candidates are performing very well, but also some areas where perhaps a little more attention is needed. And this is particularly useful information if you are delivering Teaching Colleges Today for the first time, or you are a new assessor assessing your candidates for the first time. The great thing is that TiCT has been delivered quite successfully for a number of years now, so there are lots of good practice. And the first couple of slides here, I just wanted to highlight a few areas that have been coming up over the last year or so. The first relates to the use of the Teaching Colleges Today Records of Assessment sheet. And what is great to see that good use is being made of the various supporting documentation that we provide. And this is something that we have updated and we continue to update and ensure that it reflects best practice. What we would do though is we would encourage you and recommend you to use the materials that we provide instead of any centre devised records of assessment and documentation. This just ensures that all of the necessary elements are captured and recorded effectively. And as there can be some variability if you're using college documentation instead of the records that we and the proformas that we provide. If you're in a college where there are a number of assessors involved in assessing individual candidates' work, it is really useful to include pre-delivery meeting notes or any records of any prior standardisation discussions that have taken place. This is good practice and something that will happen with other qualifications that you deliver, and it's a great way of highlighting the effectiveness of your existing quality assurance processes. It also provides support for any new assessors involved in delivering Teaching Colleges Today for the first time. Third thing that has come across very clearly again this year is that there has been a lot of very detailed and supportive feedback provided to support candidates who are moving into the sector and are completing this qualification. And this type of detailed feedback is really important because it helps these people develop professionally. In terms of good practice, feedback on the further development of practice, in particular in relation to learning outcome 2, the teaching observation, allows you to provide additional challenge, and that's something that can support career-long CPD as appropriate. So this is something that we have seen happening more regularly through the EP process and something that we would highlight as good practice to do. Increasingly, we have also noticed that the Teaching Colleges Today unit is being used as part of a larger structured induction programme for many new lecturers within colleges. And this is a great way to support that sort of slightly more generic induction or formal HR-related induction programme. Depending on the college arrangements and the staffing resources, it is something that can be highly beneficial to support and help integrate new staff and ensure they get up to speed and are able to deliver effective lessons very quickly. The Teaching Colleges Today programme was originally designed to provide this early introduction to the development of key competencies. In terms of learning outcome 3, the reflective kind of commentary where candidates are asked to consider and reflect back on the feedback that they received following that teaching observation by the assessor mentor. One thing that has happened is we have highlighted that some candidates have had some difficulty in distinguishing the difference between formal and informal feedback mechanisms. It is important just to highlight, particularly for any new staff delivering teaching colleges for the first time, that what we are looking for is it's not about commenting on the feedback candidates have provided to their own students. In this case, what we are looking for in Learning Outcome 3 is for candidates to provide feedback about their own teaching practice and the feedback that they have received from their assessor mentor following that teaching observation report. The great thing is when it comes to things to avoid, there are relatively few things that we are picking up through that external verification process. And that is testament to the great quality assurance systems in colleges, which is fantastic to see. Two minor things just to be aware of. Because we have a variety of assessors normally involved in the delivery and supporting of candidates through this programme within your college, there can be some inconsistencies in terms of the amount and the type of feedback provided by different assessors to candidates. So that is something that you should be aware of and something that can be picked up on and discussed during those initial pre-delivery or standardisation meetings, just to ensure a little bit more consistency in approach. In terms of the paperwork, one of the things that is good practice and we would strongly encourage you to do is that where you are highlighting that you have seen evidence that satisfies the requirements for a pass, that you also provide some confirmatory information to back up those assessment decisions. So don't simply tick the checklists, but take care and take a few minutes just to provide a few highlighted comments that will give us a little bit of indication about why you particularly reached those assessment decisions. That can also be something that will be very useful to support new members of staff who are involved in assessing TiCT for the first time. Okay, that is the end of this year's TiCT annual update. As I mentioned previously in the presentation, we have two lists of contact details here in this final screen. In terms of queries or comments or suggestions for improvements to the online materials to support delivery of the TiCT unit, please contact myself either on the email shown here or pick up the telephone. And I'll be happy to take on board your comments and we can feed that into our ongoing review process. If you are a TiCT college tutor or mentor, or you are the named college contact who is responsible for uploading the assessment evidence prior to those EV dates, your new contact at CDN is Marion McBorland, and her contact details are shown here on this slide. We hope that you continue to enjoy working with the Teaching Colleges Today unit, and we look forward to seeing many more of you on our site and using the materials in the coming months. Thank you.